Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome back. Bonus day one. I was just going to say day one, but we're no longer on day one. Let me just check here we go. Okay. So today it's going to be bonus day number one. We are still in the challenge. So we're still working on the challenge. We're still working on those 4 days that you have just gone through. I still want you to implement. I still want you to do the homework. I'm just losing my earphones here. I still want you to do the homework. There is still the giveaways that I'm handing out to the engagement price, which is everybody who is actually posting about themselves inside the group throughout the challenge, which actually we have another bonus day on Monday. So stay tuned for that. So you still have time to do that until Tuesday next week. And I will take that into consideration. And then next week, actually, I will announce who won the engagement prize in terms of introducing yourself in the group. It's a $20 Amazon card. And then the other price is homework completion and feedback. So if you are consistently putting in your homework, either through DM, directly to me, or in the Facebook group under the homework threads, you can actually win an amazing book. So I don't have it on me right now, but it's about herbs, powerful herbs that you can use for every ailment, for every symptoms that you're experiencing. It's a powerful book. I use it all the time. It's really fantastic. So I'll give that away as a giveaway for the homework that you guys putting in, because honestly, I can teach you as much as you like and as much as I like. And I love to do that. I like to motivate you. I like to give you some tools you can use that I know work and that'll get you closer to your goal. But I can not do the work for you. You will have to do the work. And so just honestly, by doing the homework throughout the days, you will be able to get started and get a little bit of action in. Today, we are actually going to be meeting Kandice. So Kandice has been working with me since last year. I think we're in our 5th month now. And I wanted you guys to meet Kandice to see what she has experienced, what is possible, what she has learned, aha moments that she had, just so that you see what I have taught you guys over the past 4 days in theory looks like in real life. So I'm going to bring her in, and then we can go ahead. Good morning, Kandice.
Good morning. Here I come. There I am.
Hello. Okay.
Good morning.
Just wait a second. I have to put my speakers back on.
Okay.
Okay. Do you hear any sort of feedback on your screen? Any sort of echo?
No, I just hear you once. No echo.
Perfect. That's great. I hear myself echoing, but that's okay.
Okay. Got it.
All right, awesome. So welcome, Kandice. I just introduced you a little bit to our group. I'm super happy that you're able to be here with me this morning and share a little bit about your story. So the reason why I love to do that is because I just finished the 4-day challenge. So I am asking people to learn and to implement a little bit. A few things, tools, strategies that I know that work, but it is always different to hear from somebody who's actually implementing and doing the work, the real life, right? Not just the theory, but what it actually looks like. So that is why I invited you to share a little bit about your story with the ladies in the group, and so they can connect with what I have taught.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to us?
Yeah.
Who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about your backstory.
Yeah. So I'm Kandice Shelton. I live here. I live in the U.S. I know Cordula, she's up in Canada, but I'm down here in Atlanta in the U.S. And I was diagnosed last summer with Hashimoto's disease. But it's funny because when I was diagnosed, I was actually happy for the diagnosis because I had been feeling so bad for like a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. And I'm a fitness professional, so I teach fitness classes and I know nutrition to a certain level, right? And I still couldn't fix what was going on with me, right? So when I was diagnosed, I was happy. I was like, okay, finally I know what it is, right? And from what I understand, my story is not it's common. Like I actually had to be an advocate for my own health with my medical professionals. I mean, a lot of them are like, "Oh, you have this, you have sleep apnea, you need vitamin D," which probably I did need vitamin D, but still, that wasn't the core cause, right, of what was going on. So I actually had to be my own advocate to get the diagnosis from an endocrinologist. But when I did, I went all in with the internet, like Google Scholar, Facebook groups, and all of that to try to find what do I do now other than taking this little pill first thing in the morning, right? So I found your group, and I sat quiet for a long time, and I just kind of observed. I took in the knowledge and things like that. And then I think you were launching one of your programs. I was like, oh, no, I need to talk to her, because you were very knowledgeable. And there's something about your spirit that was like, this is what you need. It's almost like a motherly figure, like, this is what you need to do in the most kind way, right? Yeah. And I found your group, and then I reached out to you. I think it was a group coaching program back then, but once we talked, I'm like, I think I need 101 with you. So that's kind of how I got to be right here. So.
Right. Thank you for sharing that, because I see that very often, that a lot of women actually sit back for a little while, which is great, because I talked about that yesterday, and it's important to sit back and kind of like do the mindset work a little bit too, and understand, okay, now what are going to be my next steps? What do I need to do in order to really get my life back? And, but then what happens is that a lot of people go into the whole internet space, which is where there's so much information, but with the information comes the overwhelm. And so then I see that there's a lot of information, lots of conflicting information, trying to piece things together, trying to create that protocol that's going to work for you. And you're trying to match your exact symptoms with somebody else's exact symptoms and try to find the solution. But the problem is that it shows up differently for everybody, because even though we might have the same diagnosis, our bodies are still different. And so you had suffered with extreme fatigue. Yes. And other people suffer from extreme joint pain. So it shows up differently. So tell us a little bit about how was your life? Like, how did you feel during that time? Like, why was it that you decided that you needed help? How were you feeling? What position were you in?
Well, to your last point, that's exactly why I decided I needed help, because I looked at Google Scholar, the internet, and there were so many things. It was inflammation, it was gut, it was hair loss, it was rashes, it was fatigue, it was all these things. And I'm like, well, I only have these, but not these, but how do I fix this, but not this? And there was so much information. I'm like, I just can't do it on my own. Right. So that's why, I wanted to seek help with someone. And I feel like you focus I think you were made to fix me, right? Because you focused on women with autoimmune disease. I think that that were overachievers or something like that. And that like fit into, what I was doing, who I was. So I'm so glad that I was able to find your help. But that's why it was just so much information out there, and I knew I needed more support than what the internet could give me.
Yeah. So what type of symptoms were you experiencing?
So the biggest thing was my fatigue. And when I say fatigue, it's not just tired because I stayed up late last night type of thing, right? It was, I would get a full night's sleep. I would wake up, and by 10, 11 o'clock, I would be tired, and either I needed a nap or I needed a boost of caffeine. And when I say caffeine, it was a lot of caffeine that I was on at one point, right? I would get through the early afternoon, and like 2 or 3, I would need either another nap or another boost of caffeine. And then because I teach fitness classes, I needed more caffeine to get through my fitness classes. And here's where it started. So I had a bit of brain fog, fatigue, weight gain. And because of the fatigue and weight gain, I started actually slipping into kind of a mini depression, because I'm like, I'm in fitness. I'm supposed to be this person that knows what she's doing, and yet I'm gaining weight, yet I'm tired during some of the classes. It's like it started messing with me mentally, right? So at that point, that's when I really knew I've got to find a way to get out of this space that I'm in. Right, I've got to fix it because I can't do it with just selenium and iodine. I can't, like all these supplements that I was taking, they weren't working, right? Type of thing. So I needed more than just a bunch of supplements that the internet told me I needed. So
you intuitively really also gravitated towards, okay, there's more to it than just supplementation. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
taking all of the supplementation and just not getting anywhere. So I knew that I have to do some more work,
yeah,
but you just didn't know exactly how to go about it, right?
yeah.
So when
And let me add the other thing to that is that at a certain point, for a lot of people that have Hashimoto's or thyroid, they go on the levo. I can never pronounce that thing, right? So I had been on it for about a month or two, and I still didn't feel any different. My numbers were improving, but how I was feeling, the fatigue did not go away. So that's when I really knew there's something else that's part of this, that my medical, and all due respect to medical professionals, they are geniuses in their field, but I knew there was something else going on that I needed to address, and that's where you came in with the gut health and the inflammation and things like that, which
awesome.
I would have never
talk
pieced
about
together.
that a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because that is exactly what we have to do in order to shift our bodies back into balance. So tell us a little bit about this journey that we embarked on together as a team. From this position that you were in, what were some of the things that we had to do in order for you to get to where you are right now? And then I want you to share with the ladies where you are right now and how you're feeling right now.
Okay. So I don't know if you remember when we first started working together, I fought you. I fought you on a lot of things, not, it was just like I was resistant to a lot of the things that you were suggesting that I do, right?
Yes.
And I remember we started working together right around the holidays. I think it was right around Thanksgiving. And I was traveling, and no one wants to sacrifice meals around the holidays, right? But you were clear in telling me these are the things, in such a loving manner, right? These are the things that need to happen. And I fought you. I think the first month I was resistant because I was traveling, and how am I supposed to cook when I'm on the road and things like that. So a month goes by. I really haven't implemented anything, but I feel worse. And at that point, I was like, Kandice, get it together, right? So here comes December, and I finally start to implement the protocols. And I remember I was doing it. I was consistent in doing it. And then it was one day, it was maybe about a month into it, right? So maybe this is around the end of December. And my dog just opened my door. Maybe it was around the end of December where I was sitting at my computer, and because you told me stay off the caffeine, back off the caffeine, because that's not good for you. And then I remember thinking, oh my gosh, wait, is that energy I feel? Like I literally felt like a natural energy. And I remember messaging you like, well, I don't know if it's the this or the that. And you were like, it's probably a combination, but doing all of the things are what helped me. So we started focusing on things to back off of me living off of caffeine, my gut health, meaning gut health, fiber, just things like that from a nutrition perspective to fix what was wrong with me and my gut and my inflammation and things like that. And it's a process, right? So it wasn't overnight. So I started feeling it maybe about a month into it. And, after that, it has just gotten better. Now, I will tell you this, because I travel a lot too, sometimes I get off track. And when I do, I feel it in my body, which is one thing that you've always told me is just be aware of my body, right? Be aware of what foods trigger, what lack of sleep triggered, like things like that. So I think one of the other things coming out of this that is so helpful is me being in tune with my body. Yeah. Me knowing that, if I eat this, I'm going to feel this way the next day, right? If I don't get a certain number of hours of sleep, I'm going to feel this way the next day. Right? But if I do, these are the things I need to do that I can do to get back on track. So being aware of that, the knowledge of that is just like unreal. I mean, that's just like invaluable.
So would you say that you actually have filled your toolbox now on all levels, and you strategically know which tools you can actually use in which situation that'll help your body to swing back? And not only that, but also understanding as to why your body's reacting in a certain way, and lovingly giving your body what it needs, right?
That's
And
exactly it. Because
yeah,
the internet cannot give you the type of tools and resources that you have given me over the past several months at all. Because, like you mentioned, everyone's body is different. So you need someone to look at your specific situation and give you tools for you and what your
right.
challenges are. So, absolutely, absolutely, I have a toolbox for that.
Awesome. So would you say that in terms of nutrition, that you have incorporated a lot more foods than you did before?
There were different foods, but it's not like foods that I didn't like. It's just, and I remember we had this conversation. I'm like, I do not like to cook, right?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, okay, let me experiment with these chickpeas and this seasoning, or something like that. I remember you said you'll love cooking, and while I'm not loving it yet,
Yeah.
but I am willing to experiment with different
Yes.
things. And
Yes.
because you've given me the toolbox of, these are the things to focus on as far as nutrition, and it's because it has vitamin K or vitamin B or whatever, nutrients that it has in it, I am able to, or more willing to, put together different meals
Yeah.
in order to give my body what it needs. So
Right.
yeah, totally.
So you have practically gained knowledge around the nutrients that are inside the foods, how to combine them properly for your body so that they actually work and that you are absorbing and digesting your food properly. Because we also have been working a lot on your digestion and absorption, because that was a huge part that was lacking for you. As well, we also started to be very mindful about your blood sugar, because that is a huge issue and still is. So that is not something that is, you're done with that yet. It's something that we have to hone in on a little bit more. But we started dialing that in for you, and you started to experience this natural energy without being dependent on caffeine. And once we're honing in a little bit more on the blood sugar, you will also see that the weight is going to come down and the inflammation is going to leave your body. But in terms of energy and in terms of feeling nourished and in terms of diversifying your diet, you are in a much different place now than you were 5 months ago.
Yeah, totally. Because again, I don't like to cook. So I had my favorite 3 go-to meals, right? And they were healthy meals. However, it didn't give me the diversification of nutrients in my body. Right. So I was amped up on vitamin K because I ate a lot of kale or whatever, the K or B or whatever is in kale, but all the other nutrients I was deficient in. Right. So yeah, absolutely. The other thing that I think was so valuable is me honing in on my sleep. Because, I would stay up until 2 a.m. and then I would start my day again at, 7 or 8, and just being mindful of what my body needs as far as sleep. Because that whole sleep thing I've noticed is just, it's in addition to the nutrients and blood sugar and things like that, that is such a big thing for me.
So what Kandice and I actually did for a few sessions, we just sat together and we went through a whole schedule, and we really try to, kind of like reschedule her day so that she can actually get into better habits, so that she can prioritize sleep, that we can shift her sleep time, that we can shift her meal prep, all of these things, the lifestyle part of it is just so important, because it's that big framework that you need in order to continuously implement these things, right? Because it's one thing, I can tell you, eat all of these foods, and you're starting to eat these foods, but if you're still like working on your laptop until 11 p.m. and then fall asleep on the couch, that is not going to help you to absorb these nutrients that you're giving your body. So this is a big point, and I'm glad that you're mentioning that, because it's really, really important that a lot of people don't pay much attention to. So in the grand scheme of things, after now, it's funny because it is true. In the beginning, the first month, I was like, okay, Kandice, how's it going? Have you been implementing all the things that I told you to? And
no,
I heard crickets, and then I heard, what, I've been traveling and it's been busy. I know, life does get busy, but hey, let's get back on track, right? Because we can't always use that excuse in terms of there's the next holiday coming up, there's the next birthday coming up, I'm going to start after this. No, because fact is that that's part of life, and you are going to live with that Hashimoto's throughout these events, and you will have to learn how to live through these events in a way to still be able to support your body with it.
Yeah.
So
I remember you sent me a message, and this is one of the two big game changers of me working with you. It was probably, it might be around week 3 or 4 when you realized I wasn't doing the work, right? And you, you sent me this message and you were like, you don't have to implement everything.
Yeah.
Do what you can. Right. If you're on the road, then you can affect the meals that you do eat or what you do eat. You know, you don't necessarily have to have the home cooked, pre-prepped meals, but you can make better decisions when you are on the road. So I can't remember that message. I still have it, but it was a game changer for my mindset. Right. It's like, okay, I don't have to implement this huge protocol, but I can implement 3 things. These are the top 3 things that I can implement that can affect change in how I'm feeling until I can get back home. So, and the other thing that was huge was just what you said, was when we sat down and mapped out the entire day. Okay, I wake up at this time, I do this, I wait an hour after you do the pill, then my first meal is this, but no carbs because of the blood sugar, and the second meal is 3 hours later. I mean, mapping out not only when I eat, but all the other lifestyle things, especially with my fitness, what I do on the days that I teach fitness that are different than the other days. That was a huge game changer.
Right.
So that was
amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's been such a fun ride with you, and you just have amazing energy too. And I'm happy that you are starting to feel a lot better, and that we will be seeing continuous results in the future around your blood sugar for sure as well. So the very last question I would like to ask you, what was your biggest takeaway? I think you kind of like answered those 2 things, but what was your biggest takeaway in your journey? How do you feel now in terms of moving forward in your life? Do you think that you are looking at life a little bit differently now with Hashimoto's? And is it gonna positively change for you after working with me after this experience?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you were a game changer in literally so many elements of life, because how you feel, how the Hashimoto's was making me feel was affecting work. It was affecting my business. It was affecting, everything, because I had no energy to do anything. Anytime I wasn't literally at a computer, I was on the couch or on the bed. Right. And that's not, it puts you in a mindset of, just being very, anyway, so you've changed everything. So a couple things that were like huge takeaways is, 1, I feel more empowered, right? Because of 2, the knowledge that you've given me, right? So empowerment, knowledge, because now I know that, if I go to an event and, these are the things I need to pick and choose to eat, but if I do eat something, this is what I need to do afterwards, and, all of those things. The other thing is just the takeaway, or what coming out of this is just how much better I feel. So I do have energy. So I'm back. I'm off the caffeine. So the massive amounts of caffeine I don't take anymore, and just how I feel naturally. So there are other things that we have, the circadian rhythm thing with the daylight lamp, and all of those things have just helped. And it just overall has just changed how I felt, not only mentally, but physically, or physically and mentally. So Awesome. It was a huge working with you. I would not, I would say for anyone, she is the one. She is the one, because I'm part of many Facebook groups, and there are many people out there that are teaching this. But I always say, find a coach, but find the right coach, right? And I think you are the right coach to help a lot of the women who are feeling all of these symptoms because of their autoimmune disorder.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that, because the support and accountability, I find, is always something that will pull you through when it gets hard. Like we said with you, in your case, you just needed that little bit of, push, and you to keep going, move past those mindset changes in terms of, holidays and all of these things. You need that support and accountability to really keep you moving forward.
Yeah, exactly.
I am so blessed that you came into my world, and I'm really happy that we got you to a place where you're now. And I know that you will continue to become more healthier and better, even with your blood sugar dysregulation, all of these things. It'll come as long as you continue to put in the work. So I'm super happy for you. And thank you for coming on here today and sharing your story with us a little bit. so that others also get inspired and motivated and see what can be possible for them.
Yeah. And I thank you too for your sharing your knowledge and your insight and your own journey too, because your journey helps, it helped me along mine. I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one, type of thing.
Yes.
So thank you as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Candice, and have a wonderful day. And I will see you again very soon.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. All right, everybody. I hope that was a really inspiring conversation. And I hope that you really understand what can be possible for you and what can be possible for anybody with an autoimmune disease if you're putting in the work. So again, Candice is such a great example. And on next week on Monday, you will meet Sherry, and Sherry is going to be also sharing her story. Her story is a little bit different, and that will also show you how different lives need a different approach. So I'm happy to share that story with you as well. Thank you guys, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the day. Put in the homework for the giveaway gifts that I'm giving out, and I will see you again next week. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.